Okay, so here we have the focus process. We have our 5 phases, which are formulate, organize, contrast, unify, and simplify. And then we have our 15 principles that go along with each, as you can see here. So the first one that we're going to go through is formulate, and I went ahead and chose message. So here we have our bad example, which is Gold's Gym. You see here their promises, and I feel like their main message that they're trying to get you to do is join. So the only thing you really see is the join button up here. And then when you scroll down, you'll see located gym. It doesn't really give you a direct link to it. And then we have our good example, which is Planet Fitness. As soon as you enter their page, they have just $10 a month, join today, and there you can sign up to join. Next we have organize. So I went ahead and chose shape. So here is a bad example of the use of white space. So her pictures and wording are kind of just everywhere. They're not grouped together like white space should be. It's kind of just unorganized altogether. Here we have a good example of white space. So you have, your photo over here, you have this, and then as you go down, you have everything kind of grouped together. And then you also kind of get like a good flow going with the way that they have their picture aimed to look at the text here. Next we have contrast. So I went ahead and went with color. So here's the bad example of color. You have all different kinds of colors going on here: red, white, green, like a light blue. Then down here you get these highlighted green and yellows. None of these colors really go well together. It kind of just makes it everywhere. Here's a good example of color. This is Coca-Cola's website, so they just use variations of red and black, which are their main colors of their product as well. Next we have unify. So I went with repetition. So here's a bad example. It's a James Bond museum. It kind of looked like it went with the repetition with the circles, but they're all kind of different shapes and they're not really aligned well to each other. So that was a bad example. A good example is Best Western. So here they have their repetition of their circles kind of going together, and if you go up a little more, again the three squares. So that's a good example of some repetition. Next we have simplify. So that is I went ahead and went with elimination. So here's a bad example. This just kind of has too much going on. Everything's everywhere. You cannot figure out what's what. Definitely bad example. And here is a good example of elimination. You have Amazon. They keep everything really neat and organized together. They have all their categories separated, so you can kind of scroll through and see where everything's at. So once more, we went over our focus process. We have formulate, which is message, audience, sketches. Organize goes to shape, proximity, alignment. Contrast, asymmetry, value, color. Unify, repetition, rhythm, gestalt. And simplify, evaluation, elimination, and communication.